Well, have I got a lot to talk about today? I mean, a lot. Some sewing news, some knitting, other crafty things, and a bit of personal stuff. So, grab your coffee or your tea or your martini or whatever it is you drink while you're watching my videos. Because it's going to be a long one. Hello, and welcome to Killer Kitsch Lizzie, my weird little world where I like to knit and sew and do other crafty things. And I've got a lot of those things to talk about today. I just want to kick off the video with a little personal update about a thing. So if you don't want to hear this part, if you're just interested in the other stuff, I have chapters listed below and you just click on the time to the title you want to go, and then you can skip this part or any part you don't want to watch. So at this point, you will have noticed that my Patreon has gone back to free. I did only end up doing the paid subscription for a month. There's a reason for that. And just sort of to begin off with, there is a point down the road where I might go back to that. We'll see. The reason I, after only a month, decided to go back to just doing YouTube is I don't just do Patreon or YouTube. I also write full time, and long story short, all I was doing was working on Patreon. Now, the reason why, I'm a perfectionist to a certain degree, actually to a degree, period. And I wanted all the projects to be multifaceted. I wanted them to be interesting. I wanted to try to do things that other people weren't doing, as well as things like Haslam and other draft at home systems, all of which became very time consuming, and I realized that I wasn't doing any of the other stuff. I wasn't sewing. I was struggling to do YouTube content. I mean, I was still putting it out, but every other week. And I was getting stressed out about the whole thing, and then I realized, let's back up a bit and let's concentrate on two things for now, which is writing and YouTube. And then eventually down the road, I can revisit whether or not to do Patreon as a paid subscription. In the meantime, how I'm going to go back to using Patreon, and actually even with a little more added to it, I'm going to continue to use it as a blog. However, I'm going to start doing more detailed posts that accompany these videos. Maybe add more photos, just more information, put links, instead of trying to put all the links in the description box for YouTube, because you only have a limited amount of space. So I'm going to go back to that. YouTube doesn't allow you to attach PDFs, that kind of thing. So Patreon is going to be where you'll find your free patterns that I create, or if there's documents that you need to do a tutorial, all that's going to be on Patreon. And the other thing I'm going to go back to, which I really enjoyed, was creating patterns to sell. I've got 2 knit patterns up in Ravelry, and in the future I want to also design sewing patterns, which is a thing I'm working on, and sell those. In order to do that, I had to make a decision if I was going to do everything or very specific things and do them well. So, that all said, I really appreciate the people that did come along with the paid subscription. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. But for now, at this point, everybody knows I've gone back to just using it as a free blog and area to get your files. Now onto the fun stuff, which one of them is making YouTube videos. So I'm probably going to do them more frequently than I was doing them every other week because of Patreon, and actually even slightly less than that, because I have a lot of things I want to do. I have a lot of projects I want to do, and with Patreon you have like a time crunch, like a pretty tight time crunch, whereas over here I can do them when I'm able to do them. So there we go. I want to update you on some of my whips, works in progress. And then there's a couple of things that are new to me and a new project I'm about to start, which I'll probably, after I've done it a few times, do a tutorial. But let me get started. Okay, so, and I'm going to show you a close-up of this, a better detailed close-up in a moment. But behind me is Bunty. This shirt is not for me, by the way. This is the Presley shirt that I am making for my husband. So I'm almost done. I just have a few things left, which I'll explain in a moment. After it's done, I might do a video talking more about details of a review. Let's say I'm probably going to do a review of this pattern, or I might not. I'm not sure yet. Depends on how I feel when I finish the pattern. And the reason I'm saying that is this is a Gertie pattern. It was a guest designer. I have nothing against either of these people. They are super talented, super amazing. However, I did find this pattern in certain sections a little hard to follow. And if I do a review, I'll go through those specifics, but I actually had to go rogue on a few parts of this pattern. The yoke was one of them specifically. And yeah, so there may or may not be a review coming up. I might just not do it just because I don't want to really insult people. I don't want to be negative about the pattern because I know a lot of people have made it and they love this pattern. I've been sewing since I was, as I've said many times, 10, and a lot of things just come like naturally to me as I'm sewing, and I've made a lot of shirts. A lot of women's shirts. Men's shirts aren't that different. There's maybe one or two little things that might be different in the styling of a men's shirt, and I can almost do it in my sleep, basically. But yeah, I did find a few things about this pattern confusing. If anybody else did, let me know. If you do want a thorough review, let me know, and if I get enough people saying yes, then I'll do a more thorough review of the pattern, but I didn't end up filming any of the sewing of it, which I was going to do just because of some of the issues I was having. But anyway, it's almost done. I'll, talk about here in another few seconds, but yeah, I wanted to make this, wanted to have this shirt done before my husband is at a conference right now, and he's in California, and I wanted to have this shirt done for him to take. Unfortunately, that did not happen. It's okay. He has a lot of shirts that I've made for him. So he's fine. And so yeah, so let me just move on to talking a little bit more in detail about where I am with the shirt and what's left. Turns out by the time I filmed this bit, I had already finished the shirt. This is the finished shirt. It is on Bunty, which is a female tailor form. I don't have a male version of a tailor form, so she'll have to do for display purposes. Now, what was not done when I had filmed the original video was I still needed to do the collar, the facing, hemming, and buttonholes, and that is all done now. The only thing that is left to do is I have to do a really good pressing, because this is linen, and this is it's cotton. I know you should try to use the same fabrics together, but it worked. And the shirt, as you'll see in the video, is the same fabric that the dress that I'm wearing. And the running joke in our home is my husband does not like to do matchy-matchy, even though I've made him a bunch of shirts with the same fabrics that I've made dresses with. And here's the back. After I cut this out, when I placed the pattern pieces, I actually thought that this was further up. And then after I cut the pieces, I must have moved the pattern piece. Because I'd made my dress first and I was trying to finagle these pieces out of what was left of the fabric. And I thought that the what is this, the station wagon was further up and the trees were slightly further up, and after I cut it out, I realized it was not, and unfortunately did not have enough fabric left to recut those pieces. Same here. These were supposed to be further up. I don't know what I was doing that day. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's done. It still looks cool. And yeah, I'm really, really happy how it turned out, even with all the issues I was having. Which is weird because, as I said, I can sew a shirt in my sleep. Don't know what was going on there. But anyways, it doesn't matter. The shirt is beautiful. It fits my husband. It'll fit my... He hasn't tried on the finished shirt, but he tried on... I did end up doing 2 toiles for it. That's another whole other thing. But yeah, so the second toile I did for him fit him perfectly. And so I know this will as well. And eventually he'll be home and be able to try it on. And then when he does, I'll take video and photos then. Okay. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Next up on my whips, my works in progress, is my pants toile. So I have tried on both of my toiles. I only ended up making one pant toile, I think. Like toile, and then I made a wearable toile. Because when I made them, they fit pretty well. And I think I've talked about this previously. I literally had maybe 2 things to fix. One was the rise and the other was the crotch. And I'm now wondering if I just need to fix the crotch, because when I tried them on, it looked like they were fine. The rise was high enough. I don't know. I'm going to do a crotch adjustment first, and then if that doesn't seem to be enough, then I'll do the rise adjustment too. But yeah, so this was my first toile, and it is a 1945 pattern, which I'll show the cover of it. I got it off Etsy. It's a PDF download, and I'll link it below, and or over on Patreon. I don't remember what the sell was. It might have been my Vintage Wish, but I'll confirm when I link it. So this was the first toile I did, and then I did... Now, I know when you do toiles, mock-ups, whatever, you should use a very similar fabric. This was just cotton, like crafting cotton. And I knew I was going to do a heavier material, but at the time I didn't have heavier material, so that's why I did a wearable toile, which is these. And again, they fit. They're not tight across the tummy or when I sit down, because I always do sit tests all the time. And they were fine, except the crotch was like pulling, which means you need to do an adjustment there. So I don't know if I can make the adjustment on here in a way that I could still wear these. I'm going to figure it out. And then what I'm going to do is, once I have done that, I am actually going to wear cut these down to be culottes. Because I have other nicer fabric. I mean, this fabric's not horrible, but I have other fabric that is specifically meant for pants. So I'm working on these. So basically, my husband's away for a week, and I'm using this week as my own personal sewing retreat. Well, sewing and writing. So my plan is to get all of my works in progress that have been sitting in my pile done. One of the big ones was this, which should have been done forever ago, and unfortunately didn't get done, but I'm going to finish this. I'm going to finish the toile for the pants so I can move on to actually a final pair. Well, in this case, culottes, because our weather is weird here now. As you're watching this video, it's actually going to be officially spring. I do film in advance because I have to kind of take chunks of time when I can to film. And the weather this winter has been all over the place. It has been mostly warm. We've had almost basically zero snow, though there's been light flurries today. And there's been a couple of days here and there which has been like the normal bitterly cold. But otherwise, it's been unseasonably warm. We've broke records here in Toronto. And recently it was like hit 21 degrees one day, and my friend Lisa and I were out sketching, sitting in a park, and I actually got a little bit of a sunburn, even though I had sunscreen on. So that's weird for March, unless you've gone south for a vacation. But anyway, sorry, waffling tangent. But because of that, I want my first pair of pants to be culottes, because, and this has become sort of almost a norm in the last few years, we go from cold, like winter, to hot. And there's like barely any spring, barely any fall. And I also want to make a few heavier pairs of culottes too, so that in the wintertime I can put like tights underneath and they could be warm enough to be worn outside. So that is part of my pants update. The other one is I have printed off the Lucille trousers ages ago, actually. And I just need to tape it up, trace off the pattern, and I am going to then attempt to make a pair of Lucille trousers. I went through my stash. I don't actually have proper fabric for this, because this does need more of a heavier drapier fabric, so I may have to actually buy fabric for this. I am trying really hard right now to not buy any more fabric. I want to use up what I have, or some of what I have, like shop my stash before I actually go out and buy more fabric, though it's really hard because fabric's so pretty. Yeah, so after these pants, the fitting is down, and I've made a pair of those. I'm going to work on the Lucille trousers next. I'm just tossing stuff over here because I don't have enough room on my table to put it back, or it's going to get too crazy. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about... Oh, yeah, right. Before I filmed this video, I was watching YouTube, and the video was very short, and they did the thing where they speed everything up. So I had to watch this a bunch of times, and I'm going to have to finagle things, but the person in the video did what they call tie style pants, which is kind of a, normally it's a wrap pants, you know, like it's two big pieces and you pull them up and you wrap the back and then you wrap the front. But the way that this person did the video, or did their pants, was instead of having it tie, the back was like normal pants, like, you know, stitched along the seam at the back. I guess the wrap pants are as well. And then instead of tying at the back and then tying at the front, the back, because she added a waistband with a very wide elastic, and then the back of the pants, you know, is on the belt, or not the belt, the waistband, as well as the front. So the front pieces wrap around, get basted down, and then added into the waistband. So they said it's easy enough to pull those pants up and down without having any issues. I am going to try a mock-up of them with some scrap fabric to see if in fact I can make it work for my body type, because they would be really fast to sew, and I feel like watching her instructions, there wouldn't necessarily be a lot of adjustments in the crotch and stuff to be done. But again, we'll see. But that is on my list to make. And I have a lot of scrap fabric that will be enough to do, like, not a full length toile, more likely a short version toile, but honestly, when I'm doing pant toiles now, I'm doing more like knee length toiles, just so I make sure that, you know, the bum is fitting and all that stuff, because I don't want to waste a ton of fabric on doing pants toiles over and over and over again until I get the fit right, because it is a lot of fabric. And then the next thing I'm going to be working on this week, I don't think I'll get to the sewing stage this week, but I'm going to get to the taping the pattern pieces up and tracing out the pattern and possibly cutting out a toile, just for the bodice part only. And that's the Peggy bodice, which again is another Gertie pattern. I'll pop a photo, an image up. And I'm going to do it with a gathered skirt. I'm also going to do the short sleeve version because, again, spring and summer is coming. And, you know, at this point when you see this video again, it's already going to be spring. And I just want to, and I tend to with dresses do sleeveless or short anyways because I can throw a cardigan over it. It's not really an issue. And you may have seen this fabric before. I'm not 100% sure. Whoops, as things fall over here. It's like a deep red, not really showing up on camera, but it's like a dark rose, actually. It's more like a dark rose with beige dots on it. And that is going to be for the main dress. Sorry, everything's falling over on me. So it's going to be for the main dress, and this is going to be the lining, because it is a fully lined dress, if I remember correctly. And yeah, I might get a toile. Oh, and what I'm doing for the toile too, by the way. So I'm not wasting fabric if, in fact, it fits properly, is I'm going to use this for the toile, and then that means that this is my lining done already. So that is the plan. We'll see if it works out or not. You know, hopefully that it fits properly. I seem to have pretty good luck with Gertie bodices. Like, I usually don't have to do many changes to get them to fit me, or any changes at all. They tend to fit. They're fit and flare style. So they do tend to fit me in the upper half of my body with no problem at all. So I'm hoping to get that done. So this week for my sewing retreat, it's finish this shirt, trousers, get Lucille ready to go, and get the Peggy bodice ready to go. Because I see so many people with the Peggy bodice and it flatters them so beautifully, and I want one. Lori, who I talk about all the time, has made Peggy bodice a few times, I believe, and it looks so good on her. So yes, I'm hoping it looks just as good on me. Now, a couple of things I have recently acquired. And so I'm just going to review my notes quickly to make sure I am not missing anything. Yep, okay, I'm on track. That's good. We have a really good vintage antique store in our neighborhood. It's called Mrs. Huzenga's. And I have a really hard time when I go in there because I want to buy everything. There is clothing and furniture and housewares and books and you name it. Like, everything you can think of, they have something there. And I love going in there, getting lost in what I'm looking at. And once in a while, they will have sewing patterns, which I have found a few there. And sometimes they'll have knitting patterns. So I recently got this. It is a Monarch number 109 sports close-ups featuring speedy knit for quick knitting. And I don't know what year this one is. Sometimes it doesn't have the year. If I can find it, I will. It looks like something from whatever home it came from might have been nibbling on this. The corners have some nibbles out of it, so, but I don't care. All the information that's required is visible. 1950. This is from 1950. And it has a lot of really cute patterns. The cover pattern looks like the Maryland sweater. The yoke is different, but it has beautiful cabling down it like the Maryland sweater. And I don't know if it's all the patterns. A lot of the patterns have either intarsia or cables. And there's cute hats, cute mittens, a few really cute things in here. And yeah, as I'm flipping through it, like there's the Maryland, almost like Maryland style sweater. There's a hooded jacket, a zip up that I love. I don't like doing zippers in knitwear though. I tend to redo the band so I can put buttons. I'm just not a fan of putting them in. I like the way it looks. I don't like putting them in. I find things get stretched out too weird for me. I have talked to a few people that do zippers on the regular basis, and they say to baste it in first and then sew it in. Like you have to hand sew it and hand baste it, but I don't. I've tried it. It just stretches out. I don't know if it's me. Maybe it is me. It is me. So the other thing I recently got is a UV resin kit, and the reason I got this specific kit is for earrings, very 1980s earrings. And the reason I got it is I want to make my own buttons and belt buckles and bracelets. And I have ordered a resin mold for buttons, so that should be delivered the next day or two. It wasn't here, unfortunately, for this video. And I did buy another earring mold because there is a earring in here that is in the style of that Maryland earring. There's a round bit and then a hoop which faces out. This isn't exactly the same, but I thought I could make a similar version of it. And then again, there's a bit of pieces in here that are very 1970s and 1980s. So I might make myself a few pair. And because I have never used this before, I am going to do the earrings for now and do it exactly as they say how to do it, because I, again, don't know how to do this. So I might, after a few attempts of this, I might end up doing a little tutorial on how I do it. But yeah, I bought another mold and I bought some sticks and mixing sticks and things like that. I have a bracelet mold somewhere. I cannot find it. And it is a UV resin one. I bought it ages ago before I even bought any of this stuff because I've been planning on doing this for a long time. I don't know. It's somewhere. So those are my current, not my current, but this is my current state of garments and crafty things and knitting. Oh, speaking of knitting, oh my goodness, I almost forgot this. Jeez. It's right beside me. I am working on the Sinead Cardigan from Tara Dayton, and I'm almost done. Oh, sorry, my nose is very itchy. I'm almost done. Well, relatively almost done. I'm working on the sleeves right now. I could pull it out of my bag here without everything falling off the needles. Hopefully, oh, well, close enough. I'm on the sleeves, and I feel like sleeves take forever to get done. Now, one of the reasons why for me it feels that way is I do both sleeves at the same time, because I want to make sure they're both exactly the same length. Because in the past, many, many years ago, when I was just starting to do garments, and I'm talking about decades ago now, but I would knit one and then knit the other, and then when I would sew them in, it'd be like, one is slightly shorter than the other. Now, when you do a top down or a bottom up seamless, might run into that problem. I am now at a point in my life where I measure things 2 or 3 times to make sure they're exactly the same. So for those kinds of patterns, I do. This is a seamed sweater, so Yeah, so I'm almost done the sleeves. I'm doing the raglan reduction of stitches right now. Then I just need to do the border and the well, seam it up, of course. Then the border and then the belt. And then I'll be done just in time for it to get too hot out. I think, in spring we do have cooler nights still, so this would be a good throw on to go outside for a walk at night. It is honestly a very fast knit. It has taken me way longer than it should have because I kept getting distracted by other things. But yeah, this is where I am with this. One thing that is coming up is I am now also working on a sweater for my husband, or a cardigan actually, and it is with ska images, the two-tone ska guy and girl images on the sweater. There is going to be a whole separate video for that, showing you how. Oh, sorry about that. Filming, my camera stopped, so hopefully I got all the. I was just talking about the Sinead cardigan, ballerina wrap cardigan, and almost done with that because I only just noticed it shut off. I apologize if I missed that. And the other thing is, like I was saying, as I'm working on a cardigan for my husband, which is the images on it is going to be the two-tone ska guy and girl, and there is going to be another video coming down the road, 1 or 2 months from now, who knows, where I'm going to actually go through the process of how I create the images for knitting and how I, created the knitting pattern. Because his stuff I'm just creating the pattern myself. I'll base it on a vintage pattern. I'll look at a bunch of different ones and sort of compare the sizing and whatnot, and then I will then go and create a pattern from scratch. Okay, so anyway, I think I should wrap it up. It's been a long video talking about a little bit of our personal bit and then all of my works in progress. So yeah, if you like this type of video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. I'm coming up on a year almost on this channel and I have not hit 500 subscribers yet. And I would like to hit 500 subscribers when I hit my 1-year anniversary. So please, if you're watching this video and you're not subscribed, I would love it if you subscribe to this video. And yeah, comment below if you have any comments. And in the meantime, have an amazing rest of the day, week, month. Until I see you again, stay kitschy.